Have you ever wondered why the more you give, the less love seems to flow back to you? There's a woman I want you to meet. She's beautiful, not just in appearance, but in the way she moves through the world. She has this incredible capacity to love, deeply, completely, without reservation. When she enters a room, people feel her warmth. When she speaks, her words carry genuine care. When she loves with her entire being. Yet somehow, love keeps slipping through her fingers like water through cupped hands. She gives her presence, her attention, her devotion. She shows up consistently, reliably, beautifully. She makes herself available, accommodating, understanding. She bends, she adjusts, she sacrifices pieces of herself to make room for love to grow. And still, she finds herself alone, wondering what she's doing wrong. This woman, maybe you recognize her because she lives inside you, has been operating from a place of beautiful intention but misaligned energy. She's been loving from her masculine force rather than her feminine flow. Without realizing it, she's been pushing love away through the very actions she believes will draw it closer. Bob Proctor, one of the greatest teachers of universal law, taught us something profound. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are in harmony with. This woman, despite her beautiful heart, is not in harmony with receiving love. She's in harmony with giving it, earning it, proving she deserves it, but not with simply, effortlessly receiving it. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like. She meets someone who sparks something inside her. Instead of allowing that spark to kindle naturally, she begins to tend it like a worried gardener. She waters it with texts, feeds it with attention, protects it with understanding. She anticipates needs before they're expressed. She smooths over rough edges before they can even form. She becomes a solution to problems that don't yet exist. This is her masculine energy in overdrive, the energy of doing, controlling, managing outcomes. It's the energy that says, if I just love hard enough, give enough, be enough, then love will stay. But love doesn't respond to force. Love responds to frequency. And her frequency has become one of need disguised as generosity, of fear disguised as devotion. She's vibrating at the frequency of, please don't leave me, rather than, I am a gift to be received. She's broadcasting, I need you to love me, instead of, I am complete and overflowing. And the universe, in its perfect responsiveness, keeps matching her with experiences that confirm her vibration. Relationships that require her to give more than she receives. Connections that feel like work rather than flow. Love that feels conditional rather than inevitable. The tragic irony is that her capacity to love is exactly what makes her magnetic, but she's been using it as a tool of persuasion rather than a frequency of attraction. She's been loving from her wounds rather than her wholeness. Every act of service, every moment of understanding, every sacrifice carries the subtle undertone of, see how much I love you? Now love me back. This creates an energetic loop that repels the very thing she desires. The more she gives from this place of hidden need, the more she confirms to herself and others that she's not enough as she is. The more she proves her worthiness through action, the more she broadcasts that her worthiness is in question. The more she tries to secure love through effort, the more she pushes love away through the energy of desperation. Bob Proctor understood that we live in a vibrational universe. Everything is energy, and energy attracts like energy. If you're vibrating at the frequency of, I must earn love, you'll attract people who believe love must be earned. If you're vibrating at the frequency of, I'm not enough, you'll attract people who confirm that belief. If you're vibrating at the frequency of, love is hard work, you'll attract relationships that require constant effort to maintain. But here's what she doesn't realize. Her feminine energy, that soft, receptive, magnetic force within her, has been sleeping. It's been buried under layers of doing, trying, proving, and controlling. It's been silenced by a world that taught her that love is something you chase rather than something you attract.
something you earn rather than something you embody. Her feminine energy is not weak. It's the most powerful force in the universe. It's the energy that calls forth life, that draws abundance, that magnetizes love without effort. But it can only operate when she stops trying to make things happen and starts allowing them to unfold. The woman who gives everything but receives little has forgotten how to receive. She's forgotten that her very presence is a gift. She's forgotten that her energy, when aligned with her feminine essence, is so magnetic that love has no choice but to flow to her,
Flow toward her. She's forgotten that she doesn't need to chase love. She needs to become the kind of woman love chases. This forgetting isn't her fault. We live in a world that has taught women to be everything to everyone, to anticipate needs, to sacrifice themselves for love. We've been taught that our value lies in our usefulness, our worthiness in our willingness to give. But this teaching has disconnected us from our most powerful gift, our ability to receive, to magnetize, to draw love to us through the sheer force of our aligned feminine energy. The loop she's stuck in, give more, receive less, try harder, feel emptier, will continue until she remembers something essential. Love doesn't come to those who need it most. Love comes to those who are most aligned with receiving it. And alignment with receiving requires her to step out of her masculine doing energy and into her feminine being energy. This is the beginning of her awakening. This is where she starts to understand that everything she's been doing to attract love has been pushing it away. This is where she begins to see that her greatest power lies not in what she does for love, but in who she becomes when she's aligned with her feminine essence. What part of your feminine energy have you silenced in order to be enough? What if love comes when you stop pushing? There's a moment in every woman's journey when she realizes that all her effort, all her giving, all her trying has been like swimming upstream against the natural current of love. This moment feels like both a death and a birth, the death of the old way of loving and the birth of something far more powerful. The feminine energy that has been sleeping within her is not passive. It's profoundly active in a completely different way. It's the energy of the flower that doesn't chase the sun, but turns toward it naturally. It's the energy of the ocean that doesn't pursue the moon, but responds to its pull with tides. It's the energy of the earth that doesn't beg for rain, but creates the conditions for it to nourish and sustain life. This energy is magnetic, receptive, intuitive, and deeply sensual. It's connected to cycles, to flow, to the wisdom of allowing rather than forcing. When a woman operates from this energy, she doesn't chase love. She becomes so aligned with her own essence that love cannot help but be drawn to her. But how does she unlock this energy that has been buried under years of trying, doing, and proving?
Key is stillness instead of chasing. For so long, she's been in motion, texting first, making plans, initiating conversations, managing the emotional temperature of her relationships. This constant motion comes from a place of fear that if she stops, love will slip away. But Bob Proctor taught us that vibration is the cause, results are the effect. When she's constantly in motion, her vibration is one of anxiety, of need, of fear. This vibration creates results that match, relationships that require her constant effort to maintain. Stillness is not inaction, it's aligned action. It's the difference between a river that forces its way through rocks and a river that finds the natural path of least resistance. When she practices stillness, she stops reacting from fear and starts responding from wisdom. She stops filling every silence with words and starts letting her presence speak. She stops initiating every connection and starts allowing space for others to move toward her. In this stillness, something magical happens. The people who were attracted to her giving energy, those who came for what she could provide rather than who she is, begin to fall away. And in that space, something new can emerge. She begins to attract people who are drawn to her essence, her energy, her being, rather than her doing. The second key is self-honoring instead of self-sacrifice. She's been taught that love requires sacrifice, that caring means putting others' needs before her own. But this teaching has disconnected her from her own inner compass, her own desires, her own boundaries. When she constantly sacrifices herself, she sends a message to the universe that she's not valuable enough to be considered, not important enough to be honored. Self-honoring is not selfish, it's self-full. It's recognizing that she cannot give from an empty cup, that she cannot love others truly if she doesn't love herself first. It's understanding that when she honors her own needs, desires, and boundaries, she teaches others how to treat her. It's knowing that her happiness is not a luxury, but a necessity for authentic love to flow. When she begins to honor herself, she stops accepting breadcrumbs and starts expecting the full meal. She stops making excuses for poor treatment and starts requiring respect. She stops dimming her light to make others comfortable and starts shining brightly, knowing that the right people will be drawn to her radiance rather than threatened by it.
Key is trust instead of control. Her masculine energy has been trying to control outcomes, to manage results, to ensure that love stays. But love cannot be controlled. It can only be attracted. Trust is the feminine energy that says, I am safe to receive what is meant for me. I don't need to force or manipulate or manage. I can relax into the flow of life, knowing that love will find me when I'm aligned with receiving it. Bob Proctor often said, change your frequency and everything that matches it will appear. When she moves from control to trust, her frequency shifts from fear to faith, from scarcity to abundance, from need to magnetism. This shift creates a ripple effect in her reality. Opportunities begin to flow more easily. Relationships become more effortless. Love starts to feel natural rather than forced. Trust requires her to let go of the illusion that she can make someone love her through her actions. It requires her to release the belief that love is something she must earn or prove she deserves. It requires her to surrender the need to know how and when love will come, and instead focus on becoming the kind of woman who is naturally magnetic to love. Think of love like water. Water doesn't flow toward pressure, it flows toward space. When she's pushing, controlling, trying to make things happen, she's creating pressure that repels love. But when she creates space, through stillness, self-honoring, and trust, love has room to flow toward her naturally. This is the paradox of feminine energy. The less she chases, the more she attracts. The less she needs, the more she receives. The less she tries to control, the more naturally things flow in her direction. It's not about becoming passive, it's about becoming powerfully receptive. As she begins to embody these three keys, something shifts in her energy field. People begin to respond to her differently. She notices that others are more drawn to her presence. Conversations flow more easily. Opportunities appear with less effort. And love, real, authentic, mutual love, begins to move toward her like a river finding its natural course. She's not doing anything differently in terms of action, but everything is different in terms of energy. She's vibrating at a different frequency, one of wholeness rather than neediness, of magnetism rather than desperation, of trust rather than fear. and the universe, in its perfect responsiveness, begins to match her new vibration with experiences that confirm
her worthiness of love. What would change if you allowed love to find you, instead of trying to force it? When she opens, love has a place to land. There comes a moment when everything shifts. It's not dramatic, it's subtle, like the moment when dawn breaks and suddenly the whole world is illuminated. She's been doing the inner work, practicing stillness, honoring herself, learning to trust. And then, in a quiet moment, she feels it, the opening. It starts as a softening in her chest, a release of tension she didn't even know she was carrying. Years of trying, pushing, proving begin to melt away like ice in warm water. She takes a breath, not the shallow, anxious breaths she's been taking, but a deep, nourishing breath that fills her entire being. Let me guide you through this moment of transformation. Close your eyes and breathe with her. Feel your shoulders dropping away from your ears. Feel your jaw unclenching. Feel your heart expanding, creating space where there was once constriction. This is the beginning of your return to your feminine essence. As she breathes, she feels your energy field expanding. Where once it was tight, controlled, focused on specific outcomes, now it becomes soft, spacious, inviting. She's not trying to attract anything specific. She's simply becoming more herself, more aligned with her natural state of being. Bob Proctor taught us that change your frequency and everything that matches it will appear. In this moment of opening, her frequency is shifting from the vibration of need to the vibration of wholeness, from the frequency of fear to the frequency of love, from the energy of chasing to the energy of receiving. She begins to feel sensations she had forgotten. The warmth of sunlight on her skin becomes more vivid. The taste of her morning coffee becomes richer. The sound of laughter, her own laughter, becomes more frequent and genuine. She's returning to her senses, to her body, to her feminine essence that experiences life through feeling rather than thinking.
Receive. She opens energetic channels that have been closed by years of believing she must give in order to be worthy of receiving. My softness is power. This affirmation transforms her understanding of strength. She's been taught that power means being hard, controlling, invulnerable. But she's discovering that true feminine power lies in her ability to be soft while remaining centered, to be open while maintaining boundaries, to be receptive while staying grounded in her own worth. Her softness is not weakness. It's the most powerful force in the universe. It's the energy that calls forth protection, devotion, and genuine care from others. I allow love to arrive. This affirmation shifts her from the energy of pursuit to the energy of allowance. She's no longer trying to make love happen. She's creating the conditions for love to unfold naturally. She's like a gardener who prepares the soil, plants the seeds, and then trusts the process of growth, rather than trying to force flowers to bloom. As these affirmations integrate into her being, her entire energetic signature changes. She stops broadcasting need and starts radiating wholeness. She stops projecting desperation and starts emanating peace. She stops vibrating at the frequency of "please choose me" and starts vibrating at the frequency of "I am a gift to be received." This transformation is not about becoming someone different. It's about remembering who she has always been beneath the layers of conditioning, beneath the wounds, beneath the fear. She is remembering the woman she was before the world taught her that love was something to be earned, rather than something to be embodied. People begin to notice the change. Friends comment on how radiant she looks. Strangers smile at her more often. Conversations flow more easily. But more importantly, she notices the change in herself. She feels more at peace, more grounded, more connected to her own inner wisdom. And then, without effort, without strategy, without trying, love begins to appear in her life. Not the needy, desperate kind of love she used to attract, but genuine, healthy, mutual love. People who are drawn to her essence rather than her usefulness. Connections that feel effortless rather than forced. Relationships that nourish rather than drain.
Align with your true nature. Everything that matches that nature flows toward you naturally. The woman she has become doesn't chase love because she doesn't need to. She doesn't pursue relationships because she's not running from herself. She doesn't try to convince anyone of her worth because she knows her worth is inherent, not earned. She has learned the most profound truth about feminine energy. It doesn't seek to capture, it seeks to attract. It doesn't try to hold on to, it trusts in the natural flow. It doesn't demand, it invites. It doesn't chase, it calls forth. The feminine doesn't chase, she remembers. And in remembering, she receives. She remembers that love is her birthright, not her reward for good behavior. She remembers that her presence is a gift, not a burden. She remembers that her energy, when aligned with her feminine essence, is so magnetic that love has no choice but to flow toward her.